Hey there, and welcome to The Explainer. We're diving deep into the microscopic world today to look at the tiny organism that causes a pretty infamous disease, African sleeping sickness. It's a disease that has literally shaped parts of a continent. So we're going to break down everything, the biology, its crazy life cycle, and why it's such a global challenge, all because of this one remarkable and very dangerous parasite.
So let's just jump right in with a question. What is this thing, this tiny agent that's behind it all? It has this nickname, the borer body, which, already gives you a hint about how it moves. It sounds pretty sinister, right? So what kind of creature are we really talking about here?
And wow, here it is. This is what we're talking about. Its full name is Trypanosoma brucei gambiense. What you're looking at is a blood smear, and you can see it right there. It has this long, almost elegant, kind of snake-like shape, doesn't it? But don't let that fool you. When this little guy shows up in your body, it's the start of a really serious two-stage illness.
Right, so to really get a handle on the disease, you have to get to know the parasite itself. Let's dig in and meet this borer body and figure out what makes it tick and what makes it so dangerous.
Okay, so what is it fundamentally? Well, Trypanosoma brucei gambiense is a protozoan. All that means is it's a single-celled organism. Think about that for a second. Its entire existence, eating, moving, making more of itself, it all happens inside that one tiny cell. And here's a key detail. It's an endoparasite. Endo meaning inside. This isn't something that lives on your skin. It sets up shop deep inside its host.
So this little chart kind of helps put it all in perspective. When you think parasite, you might picture a worm or something, right? Well, that would be a metazoan multicelled. This is different. It's a protozoan, just one cell. And then there's the whole endoparasite versus ectoparasite thing. An ectoparasite is like a flea or a tick living on the outside. But our guy is an endoparasite. It lives its whole life inside the body. We're talking in the blood, the lymph system, and eventually even in the brain.
So back to that nickname, borer body. Where did that come from? Well, it turns out the clue is right in its name, Trypanosoma. If you break down the Greek, trypano means borer and soma means body. How cool is that? It was named for the way it moves, this sort of corkscrew drilling motion it uses to tear through your body fluids. The name is just perfect. It totally captures how invasive this thing is.
And for all you biology nerds out there, here's its official address in the tree of life. It's a eukaryote, so it has a nucleus, just like our cells. But then it branches off into this really specific group. And its full name, Trypanosoma brucei gambiense, is like a little biography. Trypanosoma is the borer body genus. Brucei is for Sir David Bruce, the guy who discovered it. And gambiense, well, that tells you where you're most likely to find it, in West and Central Africa.
Okay, so now we know what it is. The next big question is, how does it get around? How does it survive? Well, its journey is complicated. It's actually living this crazy double life, split between two totally different hosts.
And this diagram shows you the whole shebang. To get from one host to the next to complete its life cycle, Trypanosoma brucei gambiense absolutely needs two things: a mammal, that's us, and a very specific insect, the tsetse fly. Without this little dance between the two, the parasite's life cycle just stops.
You can really boil this whole complex cycle down to two main steps. Step 1 happens inside the tsetse fly. The parasites hang out in its salivary glands and just multiply like crazy, getting ready. Then comes step 2. The fly bites a person and boom, the parasites are injected. That's when they start their invasion of the human body, multiplying in our fluids and kicking off the disease.
And this is so important to understand. There's really only one way you can get sleeping sickness. It's not like the flu, you can't catch it from another person. The only way it's transmitted is through the bite of an infected tsetse fly. That's it. This makes that little insect the one and only vector, which also means it's the absolute key to stopping the disease from spreading.
Okay, we've got the parasite's life cycle down, so what happens when it actually gets inside a person? The disease it causes, which is officially called African trypanosomiasis, doesn't just happen all at once. It actually plays out in two very different stages.
So, stage 1. This is the hemolymphatic phase. Basically, the parasite is just cruising around in your blood and your lymph system. And the symptoms at this point, they're kind of vague. Fever, headaches, joint pain. It could be anything, which makes it super hard to diagnose. But there is one classic telltale sign, especially with this gambiense version: swollen lymph nodes on the back of the neck. It's so specific, it even has a name.
winter bottom sign.
Now, if it's not caught and treated in stage 1, the parasite does something, well, pretty terrifying. It manages to cross the blood-brain barrier. It gets into your central nervous system. This is stage 2, the neurological phase, and this is where the disease gets its name. People start getting confused, their personality can change, and their sleep cycle gets completely messed up. That's the sleeping sickness part.
So even though this disease is really tied to a specific part of Africa, its impact is felt around the world. The challenges it creates are definitely global. So let's zoom out a bit and look at the bigger picture.
Just look at that number, 24. That's how many countries in West and Central Africa have to deal with this parasite constantly. It's endemic there. That means millions and millions of people are living with the daily risk of getting bitten by an infected tsetse fly.
Which, leads to a pretty interesting question for the rest of us. We live in a world where people travel everywhere, right? So how on earth does a case of sleeping sickness, a disease that needs a tsetse fly, suddenly appear in a place like, say, the Netherlands?
And this is where it gets really tricky. Imagine you're a doctor in Amsterdam, and a patient comes in with a fever and headache. You're thinking flu, maybe even malaria if they've traveled. You're probably not thinking sleeping sickness, right? So you get these diagnostic delays that can be critical. And even if you do figure it out, you need special labs, and the medicine, you can't just send a prescription to the local pharmacy. You have to get the drugs straight from the World Health Organization. It's a huge logistical challenge.
But here's the good news. Despite all those challenges, the story of sleeping sickness today is actually one of incredible progress. Seriously, it's a story of hope. We are now in a real race to wipe this disease off the map completely.
Science has given us way better tools to fight it. For diagnosis, we're not just relying on looking through a microscope anymore. We have advanced blood tests and molecular tests. Then there's a really critical step called staging. That involves a lumbar puncture, a spinal tap, to see if the parasite has gotten into the brain. That tells doctors which treatment to use. And speaking of treatment, thankfully, the days of using incredibly toxic arsenic-based drugs are pretty much over. We now have new, safe oral medications that are a total game changer for patients.
So what about stopping people from getting it in the first place? Well, there's no vaccine. Not yet, anyway. So the entire prevention strategy comes down to one single thing: controlling the tsetse fly. That's it. It's all about reducing the chances of people getting bitten, whether that's through fly traps, insecticides, or managing the bushes where they live. And this is the goal. It's a huge one. The entire global health community is aiming to completely stop the transmission of Trypanosoma brucei gambiense by 2030. Think about that. Decades of work have led to this moment, and we are closer than we have ever been to beating this ancient enemy for good.
But I want to leave you with one final thought. We've got the science down, right? We have the tests, the treatments, the fly traps. But is that enough? Can science alone really defeat a disease that is so deeply tangled up with poverty and political instability? You see, sleeping sickness does best where healthcare is weak and things are chaotic. So maybe the final piece of the puzzle isn't in a lab at all, but has more to do with politics and society.
So that's the story of the sleeping sickness parasite. We put all the info for this explainer together using a Gemini deep search. And if you want to dive into the nitty-gritty, we've put a full list of sources in a Notebook LM document linked down in the description. Thanks so much for watching. If you learned something new, we'd love it if you'd subscribe to the channel, and definitely let us know in the comments what we should break down next. See you then.